Welcome to the Leader to Leader podcast. I'm your host, Susan Spears. Our guest today, I'm so excited, is Terrie Suit, who has come in and joined me for what's going to be an awesome discussion. Terrie, welcome to the Leader to Leader podcast.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you, Susan.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a lot about her background. She's going to jump in, and it's going to be great. But first of all, I'm going to go back a few minutes in time, easily 15 years ago. This is when I first met her. Now, let me give you a little bit about this incredible leader's background, and then we'll get caught up to today, where we are today. I think I'll just start around, even though we both just asked what year we graduated high school and we're both 80s girls. I'm going to start with the House of Delegates in Virginia. So Terrie Suit served 4 terms in the Virginia House of Delegates as a state delegate, which is 9 sessions. And she did that between the years 2000 and 2008. And she decided not to run again because her husband was retiring. Is that the correct term? From Navy SEALs?
Yeah, he retired out.
Sometimes I worry. If I'm talking about a Marine or something, you can't say ex-Marine. You always have to say former, or still a Marine, always a Marine, whatever. So I make sure I get that language right. Not too long after that, within a couple of years, Terrie was appointed, I suppose is the correct term, in the Commonwealth of Virginia as the Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security. And that's the point in time, which was between 2010 and 2013, when we had the good fortune of having her as a speaker at one of our military events that the Chamber of Commerce did. So I met her that day and did not know that later in life, a few years on, we would reconnect. So we'll get to that. After that, she spent a good deal of time, over 11 years, leading a major trade association here, really with realtors and so forth. She was a CEO here in Virginia, and they had 38,000 members. So it's a lot like how I work a lot with the Virginia Chamber and the kind of scope to be a statewide organization. That's just awesome. So incredible leadership there. And when our paths crossed again, it was last fall of 2024. And now, today, she had recently retired from that role and is in an exploratory period about, next steps, as so many are, and serving on the University of Mary Washington's Board of Visitors, which is the university's governing board right here in the Fredericksburg region. And I'm on one of the small boards at UMW, which is the Women's Colloquium Group, and we were having our annual big summit for ladies, and Terrie was seated next to me. Yeah, and we, all day long we were chatting, and we've gotten together since then and talked a few times, and I'm super excited to see you today. How was that? That's the most different kind of intro you'll ever get, maybe.
That was great. Thank you.
And having that 80s vibe, I said, oh, maybe I'll mention Duran Duran or somebody, but maybe I won't. We'll go wherever we want to go, because there's so many great things around leadership to talk about. So let's just talk about you now, Terrie, and the person behind that story. So tell us from your perspective a little bit more about that leadership journey. You didn't just wake up one day and get elected to the House of Delegates.
Oh, gosh, no. No, I never had thought I would do something like that. My mother always thought I would. In fact, that was always the threat, to behave and be good and not get into any kind of trouble. Well, someday you might run for political office. And I would say, yeah, right, Mom, I don't think so.
Oh, wow, that's funny. She had the foresight.
Either that or it was just a really good coincidence. I grew up military. My dad was a career Army officer. He was prior enlisted, and then was in the Army. And so we moved all the time. It was an interesting life.
Wow.
But it was, it's a double-edged knife. You move all the time. I went to 8 different schools, lived in lots of different communities, very neat experiences in many of those communities, really neat. But also a little disruptive because you don't build roots. So I really connect with the other, we call ourselves military brats.
Sure.
The other children of military families and spouses. My husband's retired military. But I grew up that way and never thought Virginia was going to be home. Met my husband out in San Diego. My father had retired to San Diego.
Oh, that's very different.
Yeah, met this cute young Navy SEAL out there in Coronado, and
Oh my gosh.
he had orders to Virginia, and he said, hey, why don't you come out here? And I said, there's one way. Come on back. We'll have a little ceremony.
Put a ring on it.
That's right. That's right. So we got married and settled into Virginia Beach, and he swore to my mom it would only be 3 years.
Oh, always.
3 years, Mom. She'll be back. But no, we fell in love with Virginia. We loved every aspect, got very involved in the community. I was a mortgage loan originator and a real estate agent, and so was very involved down there and was trying to go to college. But back then, we had to pay out-of-state tuition and could not establish domicile because he was active duty military. So they kept saying,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're not a member of the community. In fact, was frequently referred to as a transient. You're transients. I don't think people realize how insulting that term can be to, especially people who are trying to put roots down in a community, to be called transients. So I got kind of frustrated, and an opportunity arose to run for political office, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I want to get in-state tuition passed for military dependents.
I bet you did too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, with a lot of help. It took about 140 other people plus a governor to sign the bill.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. I failed to mention that you went to Tidewater Community College first, and then you went to ODU, Old Dominion University, Bachelor of Science in Political Science, and then got your MBA at the University of Mary Washington, where you're now on the Board of Visitors. Okay, so just wanted to make sure we touched on that. Okay, so you did get that pass. That is awesome. How did that feel?
It felt really good.
And what did it take?
It took a long time and a lot of rewriting of the bill. My first couple of years, I could not get it passed, and I'll never forget there were members of the committee that would sit up there on the dais, and I'd be there. When you're a legislator and you're presenting a bill, you can get eviscerated just like any member of the public giving your testimony. You're at the podium making a presentation, and man, they will interrupt you and ask questions and deviate and make points, and it's not as respectful as people probably think it is just because you're a legislator. But I remember each year putting that bill up and going into the committee and having someone on the dais on the finance committee say, they're not Virginia residents. They don't pay taxes in this state. And I would say, yes, they do. They pay all kinds of taxes. I pay all kinds of taxes in this state. And then Operation Red Wings happened. My husband was in Afghanistan, and it was 2005. And we lost 11 of his pals.
Oh, my goodness.
11 of his good buddies on a helicopter when the RPG hit it.
Oh.
And he came home. I was very fortunate to get my husband home. So in the 2006 session, when that senator said, they don't pay taxes in Virginia, I took up my list of names and I said, let me tell you the taxes they pay. And I said, this child, his father's name is, and this is the tax he paid. And this child's father's name is, and this is the tax he paid. And I didn't have to finish the list. Immediately, the bill was voted out of committee unanimously. And we got in-state tuition passed. And that was the first time I ever used the leverage of Tom being a SEAL. We were always really careful never to use SEAL politically. It was never in my campaign ads. I was a Navy wife, which is something to be extraordinarily proud of. We didn't ever get into the whole SEAL thing. And the press was really respectful of that, too. When Red Wings happened, the local reporters knew Tom was there, and they never reported on it. They were so good to me that way. So it was a very close community. This was before people were writing books about who they shot and doing movies. And, it was very respectful of it's a team, and there's no I in team. You don't self-promote. And that extended to the wives as well. So, but I didn't get any grief. People were very happy that we got the bill passed, and then subsequently we got it passed for active duty members, and then a few years later, we got it passed for any veteran to be able to immediately establish domicile in Virginia. You still have to say you intend to make this your permanent home, but so it took me 20 years to complete my degree because it was one class at a time. But I finally finished it when I was a legislator and was
That's
able
great.
to, go to Old Dominion and finish out there. And then I love when we do our board meetings at Mary Washington, we each say, if we were a grad, what our year was. And I get to say, I'm class of 2016. So no one knows my age.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love it. And what a commitment being on that Board of Visitors is. I'm thinking about that period of time when you were working on the bills and how you talked about the relationship with the press and so forth, and your position on really being forward-facing about your family's role with the military and the difference in today's world, because that was a period of time in the brief few years before social media really came into place, right? Where now all I have to do is look at your Facebook and I might know what you had for dinner. I might be able to see that.
No.
It's such a different world, Do you think it would have been, different if you were doing that today and the approach?
It probably would have been. I've never thought about that. We had blogs. Everybody was looking at the blogs on their laptops on the floor of the House because we sit there through long speeches.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to see what the blogger was saying, which wasn't always very flattering. I remember one blogger, everyone was laughing and looking at their computers, and I asked my seatmate, who was Ben Klein at the time, he's a congressman now, "What are you reading?" And they were all looking at me, and he switched his laptop over, and it said, "Someone needs to tell Delegate Suit that the 80s called and they want their hair back." I mean, so we had a little bit of...
I can feel that.
Come on, we're 80s girls. It was a good time. It was a good time.
It really was. And
Oh, my gosh.
haven't you seen people that post these, they'll have like a party that's a theme for the 80s and they never have it right.
No.
It's really kind of embarrassing what these folks actually think it was the looks of the... I'm not saying they were good looks. I'm not trying to imply that. But it was not all like neon polka dots either.
Right. And it looked good on us, right, Susan?
Well, we were fabulous. We still are fabulous, but we were definitely fabulous then.
Yeah, but social media, I do think people have gotten, I think there's a lot of great things about social media and good information that you can get quickly, a lot of caring things, but I think people need to be careful because, they always say, take a minute, take a breath, don't react right away, give it overnight before you react to something. And Facebook makes it, and not just Facebook, all of the social media, it makes it too easy to react quickly, and you can never take it back. You might delete that, but somebody's got it. It's always out there. So, yeah.
It's so true. Now, something was going on that you were even elected, and all of that happened. What sparked in your head to say, or did somebody come talk you into running, or how did that even happen?
Well, it was when it was when the legislative races were, the House and the Senate were very close in parity. The Senate had gone back and forth several times between the parties.
I remember that.
The House, for the first time ever, was at parity. So there were 50 Democrats, 50 Republican caucus members, I think one or two of which were actually independents that caucused with the Republicans. And so it was the big effort for Republicans for the first time ever to take the majority, first time since Reconstruction to take the majority. And so there was a big push to find districts. And I think you see that now going on more and more as the districts are closer in numbers. But there was a big push to take over. And so a lot of people were trying to find someone to run in the district I lived in. I was trying to find someone to run. I wanted someone to carry this banner and get us in-state tuition. It wasn't happening with the delegate that was there. And one day I was at a luncheon, and believe it or not, Chris LaCivita was there. He was the chairman of the Republican, or the executive director of the Republican Party. And of course, Chris is the one who was just the co-chair of President Trump's campaign. And Chris,
I did not know all of that. Wow.
Yeah. Chris was
Amazing.
at the lunch, and he looked at me, and we were all kind of reporting out. Yes, we're trying to find someone. And he looked at me and he said, "What? Why aren't you running?" And I said, "Well, no, I'm a enlisted Navy wife without a college degree who's not from here. I have no network. Why in the world would you think I could run?" And he said, quit looking. You need to run for this.
You have the
And that
spark,
was it.
maybe. You're advocating for this issue, and it shows ability because that's it. It just takes that you can go learn what you need to learn.
Absolutely.
And it sounds to me like you really did, and you did a great job. I
Yeah.
mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. But that's also a message to everyone here in our region because we have so many military and we have so many new
do.
people moving into the area. You don't have to be somebody to get involved and make a difference. If there's something that's important to you and you want to get involved in your community, get involved. There's stuff going on all the time. There's so many opportunities. Don't wait for an invitation. Come on in, get involved.
It's so true. I can remember first getting involved with my community and having this thought in my head of like taking steps forward and just doing it. My friend Gordon Shelton, who served on city council here, we were working on a local campaign for mayor turned out to be Mayor Tom Tomzak around the same period of time, actually. He was first elected in 2004. So Gordon said to me, nothing happens unless you make it happen. That's still one of my favorite mottos to this day, or quotes, and I like to attribute it to him because I wrote it down when he said it, and it was very simple but profound for me at that moment in time because I think I had been doing a lot of dreaming and not doing, thinking, not doing, observing, not doing, not stepping into what you could actually do.
Yeah.
And it takes sometimes that outside person like we both had that just saw things in us, right? And made comments to us. And we were successful here locally. You were successful at the state, and we made a difference. So I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, what I love about the chamber is you give so much opportunity for people to get involved.
We do.
I mean, you have so much going on here. And
Yeah.
I'm just learning because Tom and I have only, I say we've only lived in this community for 16 years, but we were commuters. When you're
Right.
commuters, and like a lot of other residents of the region, when you're commuters, you get home, it's already 7 o'clock. You're trying to get things
Yes.
taken care of at home, and then you're leaving again at 6:30 in the morning, or a lot of people heading north on 95 are leaving a lot earlier, and you don't have a chance to really plug in and get involved. But you all have really created opportunities for folks that want to get involved to get involved.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's ever evolving. The needs of the community. I mean, every year you think what's happening around you, and you do, but it just keeps changing. Particularly, I would say the last 5 years. I think the period of time between maybe 2010 and 2020, while it was a period of growth, it was still very settled and calm. Even with social media's coming on board and changing the way a lot of things were communicated, it was still a time of you understood maybe things. And then after COVID was just a tremendous disruptor. So throughout our history, there've been countless disruptors. We know that.
Right.
They just weren't all on blast. We can see everything that's happening across the world in a second.
Yeah.
It's such a change. It's just overwhelming. But just everything that we've been through, and now we're on this great rebuild period of time. I don't know exactly how to define it. But as we're in that period of time, you're coming off of those years of commuting, I guess, to Richmond.
Yeah.
Great. I was there yesterday with the Virginia Chamber, 95, a lot of trucks, but basically good. Didn't take too long to get there or to get back from there. But that commute will definitely prevent you from being as involved here. But as you were coming out of that, though, to take on, since 2022, that Board of Visitors role is really a piece of giving back. You didn't have to say yes to that. It's a big commitment. And so tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, I love it. I love the university. I love being on the board. It's opened so many doors to learn more about the community and get more involved in the community. We have a phenomenal board, and we have a phenomenal president and president's cabinet, staff, team, all of the professional talent at the university, and of course the students. But the university, I think, is an integral part of this community. There's so much that also from the aspect of getting involved, there's so much that the university does outside of just the daily classroom activities. There are programs like what you're involved with the Women's Colloquium. There are all kinds of connections. People can get involved in volunteer activities at the university, at attending functions at the university, the theater. The university is now really, really focused on what we need to be doing to support this general area going forward in healthcare. We are pushing, there's a lot of big vision. We have Dr. Newman now on our board and on the executive committee, and I know you
I just interviewed him, yeah.
You did. So we're trying to connect between the healthcare system and the university. How can we jointly be working on degree programs that support physical therapy, that support the nursing? And we've just approved a master's in nursing and a master's in nursing education so that we can create the educators to create more nurses.
So
We've got
needed.
a kinesiology degree. Hopefully I'm saying that right. That supports our physical therapy doctor program. We have the business school. I mean, our business school is really coming online with the MBA program. Anybody in this area and outside, my brother's looking at it, and he's up in New Jersey. We have a complete online, high quality MBA program with the core coursework and then 4 different tracks, one of which is AI. So you take your 6 core courses and then 4 courses in AI, which that's a whole nother one of your podcasts talking about where we're going with AI. But it was just voted, and I think it was Money Magazine is one of the top quality online MBA programs, which I love. That's why I chose UMW for my MBA, because it's a brick and mortar school. It's a Virginia university, and you are able to obtain at your schedule and your pace a high quality online MBA program. It's a degree. It's phenomenal. So I encourage everyone to please look at that program. So we're trying to do as much as possible to support the community. And we have just this great collegiality, which no pun intended, of the actual board members on the board and the vision that everyone shares with our president, President Pano. He's just phenomenal.
Well, that's really great to hear. It's, I'm sure over the years you may have been on a less productive board here or there or committee somewhere. And so when you get into that high functioning, well productive and vision aligned leadership, capacity, how exciting is that? I mean, I can feel your enthusiasm just listening to you talk about it. I thought you might have said more about like the nuts and bolts of that, the 3-day board sessions. But instead, you're all, all about, here's the vision, here's what we're doing, here's the successes. It's exciting.
Yeah, well, that's what boards, there's a saying about boards. You should be nose in, fingers out, meaning a board's job is to set high-level policy and vision and governance and hire your CEO or hire your president of the university, your top chief, administrative person. Be there to be a support system, be there to, make sure that everything's going along the way it should, but let that talent do what that talent needs to do. And I'm sure you've got a board, Susan. You're the one who actually runs the chamber and gets things done day to day. You need your board to support you, to create vision, to help you with a network. But you need to have the freedom to be able to move out with your team and make things happen with this chamber, and you're doing a great job of it.
Thank you. I thank you for the kind words. It's just great to hear. I appreciate it so much, and appreciate you giving back here in our community and leaning in as you're in this moment in time in your journey. Now, those years as Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security, it was a shorter stint, but what a powerful stint. So let's hear a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, that was a wonderful experience. One of my roles was to be the governor's liaison to all of our military installations. Fredericksburg has been through BRAC scares before. We all know.
Yes. 2005 was something else.
Oh, my gosh. And my district, at the time my husband and I were down in Virginia Beach, I had Naval Station Oceana. And so as a legislator, I was the point person to really try to protect our region from the closure of Oceana. It was actually on the BRAC list. So when Governor McDonnell asked me to serve as a cabinet secretary, one of the big vision he had, or the big vision for that particular secretariat, was to make Virginia the most veteran and military friendly state in the United States. And a lot of that was also to make sure that we were not under threat of a future BRAC. Having personal relationships with every military installation in Virginia is so key to that. If I could give any advice to a future governor, it's have somebody on your team that's actually a direct point person to those bases. So I got to go around and visit every installation and spend time with every single installation commander, all of the major commands, and then subsequent to that, or as a part of that, look at how are we treating our discharging service members? Are we keeping our veterans here in Virginia? Are we giving them benefits?
Yeah.
Is there a value proposition? It's one of the reasons we pushed for immediate in-state tuition for veterans coming or staying in Virginia. How are we treating their families? Are their families saying, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, we want to stay here. This is where we want to actually grow roots, like my husband and I did. We want to stay here. That is so important economically for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And then working with those military families to make sure that when they do get stationed here, that they're able to easily adapt to the school system. SOLs was a big deal at that time, standards of learning.
Right.
And how their children were being incorporated into the system here when they were coming from school systems all over the country. So all-encompassing, working on that aspect, from the veterans to the families to the installations. And then also on the Homeland Security side, that piece was put in place right after 9/11. When we had the hit on the Pentagon, we had so much happening here in Virginia. Reagan was shut down for an extended period of time, huge economic issues and security issues. So we also did the annual Homeland Security exercise, emergency preparedness exercise, and had the relationship with the National Capital Region and the other entities in the region where we share mutual aid, we share resources with that area to keep Virginia secure, because that's such a high visibility and attraction magnet area for potential not so great things to happen to someone that wants to do harm to our nation. So, really, all in all, it was relationship building. Everything was about relationship building.
It had to be such a intense time, because you're balancing, just connecting with those bases alone could be the whole job. Yeah. And then this Homeland Security piece, one of the big things that we advocate for here at the Chamber is transportation improvements for our region. And as you know, 95 outside of our region is one of the worst hot spots, also up to Northern Virginia, excuse me, in the country. And we go back and forth between places like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, as being the top worst spot in the country. We consider it a matter of Homeland Security, national security, because we remember. Oh, yeah. We remember that day and how it's just so hard. 9/11 is hard for any American to absorb and take in. But if you lived or breathed anywhere near the spots where some of these things happened, it has a special meaning. And the absolute chaos of trying to find family members and so many people and things that were happening that day just isn't forgotten. So I don't know what you know from your experience. I know enough to know that we're vulnerable,
I was on the highway on my way to a meeting in Washington, D.C., and was on 395. And we were listening on the radio. I was with my legislative aide. We were listening to the reports coming out of New York City. At first, someone thought it might have been a hoax, and then it was
an accident.
Yeah, maybe a commuter helicopter. And I remember some DJs were being silly, and back then you didn't really have satellite radio, you didn't have streaming, so some DJs on a radio station were calling the Iraqi embassy and saying, "Was this you?" And it was just some silliness. It was unfortunate. And then the second plane hit, and it was all of a sudden a wake up. Hey, this is real. This is not a joke. And as we were driving up on 395, coming up to the Pentagon, we saw the plane. And it flew, I mean, I can still see the plane. It was flying like a torpedo straight toward the Pentagon. And I remember my aide said, maybe it's going to land at Reagan. And I said, David, it doesn't have its landing gear down. And I will never forget that moment, what it looked like, what it sounded like, and what it smelled like. Just the smell of the burning. It took us, I can't tell you how many hours. That was at, well, everybody knows the time, around the 9-ish, trying to get back to Virginia Beach, just trying to get out off the highway and out of Alexandria area.
It was chaos.
In Arlington area, and the people evacuating the airport, just walking along the sides of the streets. So it's something I'll never forget. I can't believe that it's been over 20 years that we have graduates of UMW that weren't even born yet. But it's something that we can't ever be complacent about. We always have to keep the nation's security as our top priority, always.
Yes, I agree. And so it becomes easy for our general population to not have their eye on that when, life is good. Yeah. And we focus on all the happy things and things that we're working on with our jobs, our lives, our families. But knowing that there's folks out there throughout, like local law enforcement, state organizations, and national organizations, all working hopefully together to prepare us and prevent future tragedies. So,
and that's our community.
That is.
Yeah, they live here.
We are right here in this large concentration of not just some active duty, but the collective, the brain trust outside over at Dahlgren is just incredible.
Yeah, the heroes, the FBI members of the community, the Marine Corps members that are here, the folks that are commuting up to Bowling and Belvoir and the Pentagon, all from our area. I mean, we are where they sleep at night, these heroes that do so much to take care of our nation's safety so that we can have a good life.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your role and things that you've done to advocate for this and support it through the years. It's your passion is evident, and I know you've got. Well, it's been your whole life to have had your dad and move around like that, and that has to make you resilient. I went to the same school system all the way through. I used to be like, I wish I could go somewhere, and all of that. But somewhere in between us is probably the right balance. maybe one move, right? Or
just
two.
Just a couple. But it was good.
Yeah.
Good.
So very different, but somehow we turned out okay, I guess.
I think we did. Yeah, I think we made it, Susan. I think we made it.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So what are your thoughts as you look around today? As you think about you look back and your leadership journey, and I know there's still much ahead of you.
Trying to figure it out. Yeah. I'm not done. I thought I was ready to retire, but I'm not ready to retire. I love, we live at Lake Anna. I love the lake. I love this region. I think this is it. I think this is where we'll be for, the duration. And definitely want to get more involved. I love being with the university, but just, kind of trying to figure out the next step. You and I met shortly after, or we sat together shortly after I was recovering from an injury. I was at Ranger School graduation in Fort Benning, Georgia, and stepped off a retaining wall that I thought was still a foot. But as I was chatty with my friends, it was 5 feet high, and I had a very, very bad accident. Some incredible orthopedic surgeons fixed my leg. But it has taken up until just the last few months to really be back to, really full function. And so now I'm trying to figure out, do I like being retired? Do I want to do something else? So more to come on that. Next
more
chapter.
To come. And now that we've connected, I won't let you unconnect.
I love it. Thank you.
So we will find ways to keep you connected and doing things here. And certainly enjoy just hearing just a little bit about your story. It's fascinating. And just a true leadership story, because really you've just lived your life following what you believe in, sticking to your personal values, finding ways to make a difference and give back, right?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
I love it. Well, as we start to wind down, do you have a favorite motto or anything you want to share with us?
I would say just something a little inspirational. I think we all go through situations where we need to start again. Whether it's, people who are in sales in the area and they've just had a bad couple of months, or they're trying to figure out how to start a new career, a recent graduate from college looking for a job. And I would just say every day is a brand new day. Every day is a day you can restart. And also, it's in your control, like you were talking about earlier, dreaming and wondering where you're going to do what you were going to do, but maybe not doing yet. Someone has recently said to me, I wonder what's going to become of me. And my response was, whatever you decide is going to become of you, because it's up to you to make it happen. Life doesn't just happen to you. You have to be the one to use your initiative, look at where you want to go, pick a point, and paddle.
Nice. Anything else you'd like to share?
Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate you inviting me in. This has been a wonderful morning.
Well, thank you, Terrie. It's been great to have you. And again, for our guests, or our listeners, rather, our guest today has been Terrie Suit, former member of the Virginia House of Delegates, former Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security for the Commonwealth of Virginia, most recently retired as CEO of Virginia Realtors, and now currently enjoying life and serving as a member of the Board of Visitors at the University of Mary Washington, which is right here in the Fredericksburg, Virginia community. We have a great leader here, and I'm delighted to have spent some time with you and look forward to us connecting more in the future. Thanks for listening today, and we'll see you next time.